Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Retort to all the passwords you created over the years in lieu of my perceived sexual preference.
And that's how we're going to start the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Sexual preference. Welcome to
Not Quite Cool. My name is Keith Brooks. I am here, as always, with Mr. Chad Dowdy. How you doing, Chad?
So good, Keith. But you know what? I want to turn this around. You're always asking how I'm doing. How are you doing, Keith?
Oh, shitty. Life sucks. Rob is here with us as well. Mr. Rob Brago, who looks like, I know this is an audio medium, so you can't really see it, dear listeners at home, but imagine in a cartoon that a character who already has had a rough existence got electrocuted while trying to do home repairs. That's what Rob looks like. Rob, do you need us to call an ambulance?
No, I feel pretty good. I think that shock is just what I needed. Kicked in, all the drugs coursing through my system.
That's great.
I realized it's the holiday season. I'm gearing up. I'm already on vacation, ready to dive into the festivities. You know, as a Scrooge McDick myself, I like to wallow in my misery during the holiday season, and I like to share that with all my close inner circle people. So.
And that's why we're here, because Rob is alone. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off talking about the holiday season, talking about the reason for the season. We watched a bunch of things. We got a lot of things to talk to you guys about this episode, because it's been 9 months. But we're going to start with a holiday present that James Gunn gifted to all of us. And that is Marvel Studios' special presentation of the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Chad, you watched this. I think all of us watched this. And I think this will be weird. I can last say that sentence. What did you think about the holiday special, Chad?
I thought it was excellent. You know,
yeah,
I flipping love Batista, and he's great in this. The Drax and Mantis buddy comedy that they had going on. It worked for me. It was very funny, and yeah, you know, it's a holiday special. All the Guardians were in it except for Gamora. It seemed like a feature. I mean, to a degree, you know, not like the big, huge Guardians movies that we're used to, but again, they were all in it, you know, cool special effects. I was surprised honestly, how I shouldn't have been, but like how good it looked, just being just like a holiday special.
Yeah.
And, you know, and not being a huge, big budget movie, but yeah, I dug it. I enjoyed this immensely.
And Chad, what about, Rob, what about yourself? I wanted to hear what Chad had to say twice, but I guess in lieu of that, Rob, what did you think about the holiday special?
Let's go back to Chad. I want to hear that again. That was me.
It did have Christmas music.
It was excellent. I flipping loved Batista.
How'd you feel about Batista, though? You know, just back to what you said about the look of it. You know, this was the second sort of like special they did, right? This was the special Marvel, and I thought Werewolf by Night looked pretty good too. I don't think it had necessarily the scope that this had, but I thought the production value looked pretty darn good for what they did. But I digress. I love the fact, but it was just pure joy. I smiled for the 47 minutes from beginning to end. Gunn has such a great sense of dialogue and storytelling and music all combined into one, and it was silly yet grounded. It was fun. Everybody buys into his storytelling. I feel like every person who works for him is there 1,000%. I love the fact that Mantis, who we know very little about, we met her in Guardians 2, right? Mm-hmm. And then we saw her a little bit in it was it Endgame? No, I'm not even sure we saw her. Yeah, we did. We saw her in Infinity War, and a little bit at the Endgame. How much we got to learn about her and her backstory. And there was moments where when they were in Kevin Bacon's house, it turned into a horror movie for a second, like visually a terrifying horror movie. The way she moved like a fucking praying mantis on the wall creeped me out. Where for a moment I was like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And you got that getting Kevin Bacon's perspective of what the hell that would look like, not having known who she was absolutely terrifying. I love how they gave her the strength. They made her where Jax was always sort of picking on her and making her feel small. I love how she sort of copped an attitude and put her foot down, where she was sort of copping the two. They made her very strong. And I think moving forward, I think that's a sign that where other characters may be going away, she's going to be moving forward. I think that was a nice launching point for her.
Yeah.
But even some of the characters who we love, who had very small moments. Two of my favorite moments were Karen Gillan's moments, where she just, that moment of her angry dancing, like she would dance.
Yeah.
Like she was going to kill somebody while she was dancing. And that line about actors at the end was just, what do you know? I guess all actors aren't a piece of shit. And so, I mean, it was just so, it was so good and so self-deprecating. And I just enjoyed the shit out of it. It was great. And the songs were hysterical.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Just awesome. I loved it.
I loved watching
Christmas songs.
Yeah. I loved watching Pratt's reactions to the Christmas lyrics that they were singing about Miss Claus working the pole. I thought that was all fantastic.
Awesome.
I think he did a great job of making it feel like a Christmas special. Like nowhere felt like a stage. We're bringing a celebrity in. We have all the songs. The celebrity gets up and sings a song. You even had animated sequences, the wonderful presents that Groot was giving out. Cosmo, we learned a little bit more about Cosmo in this episode. I loved it. I thought it was great, just fun from beginning to end. I had a blast watching it. I hope that, in the post-credit scene, they tease doing another one, and I hope they do. I hope they keep doing these, because it was so just delightful. So that's my thoughts on it.
And I love that, and again, in a very short period of time, giving Cosmo a personality by casting a really fucking good actor to voice him. She's great. And so again, I wonder if, because we may lose a character or two for time being, I think Batista's going to go away. I think he's going to be done. But I don't know anything specific. I think he's going to be done. I think, again, just kind of fleshing out that corner of the MCU with other characters that they can really come to, creating relationships. I just thought it was a shitload of fun.
Yeah,
and great heart. It's just really great heart. It was really good. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. It looked like a stage, and the way the camera kind of pushed in, like it was a lot of fun. Good stuff.
And I agree completely with what you said, which hurts me to even say, but Mantis really shone in this. She really was a great presence throughout the entire thing. And it makes you wonder, with that reveal that she has some celestial aspect to her, is she going to be a part of the hierarchy going forward within the Marvel universe? But speaking of females and hierarchy, let's talk about a film that I saw, and that is The Woman King. So The Woman King is a film set, I want to say, in the early 1800s, maybe late 1700s, about the Dahomey army. And it is an epic period piece about war, about confrontation. The fight sequences in this movie are absolutely fucking incredible. I thought the movie was very moving. John Boyega plays a king in the movie, has a couple of nice little moments in it, but the real stars are the females that are centric to the film itself, and the cast even there is absolutely incredible. So this movie, it just makes you want to go fight something. Like, that's what The Woman King does. And everybody in this movie is an absolute badass. It just has all the perfect ingredients. So speaking of perfect ingredients, that takes us to another movie that Chad saw, written by one of the writers from Seth Meyers' late night show. This new movie stars Nicholas Hoult, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Ralph Fiennes, and that is The Menu. Chad, what did you think about The Menu?
When I walked out of the theater, I was telling Maggie, I said, that might be the best movie I've seen this year.
Wow.
And I had to think, and I could not think of a movie that I liked better. So I went back and looked at everything that I've seen this year. And it's not the best movie. Keith, you're going to hate this. The best movie I saw all year was Top Gun Maverick. That actually was the best movie. But in a close second, legitimately, is The Menu.
Andor. Oh, The Menu, sorry.
I love this movie. It was horror. It was black comedy. It was so well done. I really didn't know too much about it. The trailer doesn't give like everything away. in that regard. So you kind of don't know exactly what's going on. You're always like on your toes, but all the different characters that are there for the menu for, eating the food. I loved all the characters. It was so well done. The characters were so fleshed out. You liked them or you hated them. You weren't indifferent to like anybody there. It was so good. Like Nicholas Hoult was so funny in this movie. It was like every line was hilarious. And he was, he's like playing it straight as can be, but he's just so funny. And of course, Anya Taylor-Joy, is excellent in this movie. And I really enjoyed where it went and how it ended. It was excellent. Keith, you definitely need to check this out for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I want her to be my bride, and Nicholas Hoult is just a wonder to watch on screen, and I'm a lifelong fan of him now, having worked with him. And there's a lot of Atlanta talent in that movie as well. So I'm excited to see that.
Did that shoot down in New Orleans? Is that why we got such local talent?
I think it's Wilmington. I think.
Oh, okay, makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
But either way, I love a good scary movie. And the next movie that I want to talk about scared me, but not for the right reasons. And that is a Netflix original, RIPD 2. I think it's called Rise of the Dead. And it's fucking terrible. It's got your boy in it from Burn Notice.
Love him. Awesome. Chad just came around to enjoying him.
I just came around.
Well, don't watch this because it'll spoil that for you.
By the way, my dad called me 2 days ago and said, "Hey, I saw a movie on the Flicks of the Net thing, and I thought it was the same one that I saw years ago, R.I.P. and a D, but it was a 2, and it was really good."
Oh God, no! Your dad is delusional. This looks like an episode of Hercules. Like that's the quality of production, but it's 2022. You know what I mean? He is playing Jeff Bridges' character from the first film, but we see him when he first dies, and he's partnered up with Joan of Arc. And the premise of the film or the premise of these stories, they come into substitute bodies. So we see them as they truly are, but everybody else sees them as someone different, right? The people whose bodies they come into are vastly better than either one of our main actors. Like, they are incredible to watch. They have more chemistry. They're much better. The movie is just really shitty with stilted dialogue, terrible action, and I'm sure I'm friends with whoever fucking directed it, but it's a piece of shit.
Are the actors who played their avatars, are they recognizable actors? I don't have the.
Nope, not at all. So
what about, was one of the avatars Richard Brake? Because he's like in everything all of a sudden. He's the dude in Barbarian. He's the crazy man.
Yeah.
In Barbarian.
Richard, I think he's the bad guy in it. Hold on, let me.
And then he was in the Monsters. Just in the Monsters.
Yeah, so he's the bad guy in this movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, he looks like a bad guy.
Yeah, and he's a person in it. I'll say that. Yeah, he's all right. I mean, he's chewing on some scenery pretty hardcore, but so it's Jeffrey Donovan, who's terrible. His avatar is Rachel Adedeji, who's incredible, and Evelyn Oyedokum are the two avatars, and they're awesome. They're great. That's it. That's all I want to say about the movie. Let's move on to something else. Since that movie toyed with my emotions because I was super excited to see it and then got let down, let's talk about another toy. Chad watched an entire season of Chucky. Season 2 was released. Chad, what did you think about Chucky season 2?
So, the first season of Chucky was kind of a straightforward slasher. Mm-hmm. But this one, season 2, I feel like Don Mancini, the creator, who's been a part of this from the beginning, he created Chucky.
Yeah.
He just said, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want. And this season is wild. There's so much crazy stuff that happens. Yeah. Chucky's still a doll. He's still running around killing people. But in this, you've got like a muscle Chucky. There's a nice Chucky. There is a bald Chucky that's like super smart, like Lex Luthor style Chucky. There's so many. There is a moment where it's like there's a talk show Chucky where he's doing a talk show. It's almost like this is the Gremlins 2 of Chucky. Is what this series was.
That's incredible.
You got Jennifer Tilly's in it.
Yeah.
And she's playing herself, except she's been possessed by Tiffany, the doll. So one of the episodes is a murder mystery at Jennifer Tilly's house. Chucky's not even in it. It's Jennifer Tilly, Joey Pants as himself, Gina Gershon as herself, Meg Tilly as herself, and some chick from Real Housewives. I don't really watch that show, so I don't know. But they're all playing themselves. And the butler gets killed. And it's one of these famous people that's the murderer. And that's the entire episode.
That's amazing.
It's awesome. And then one of the episodes, like Chucky's a talk show host, and he's talking about how, like, well, the studio was kind of disappointed in this episode because I'm not in it a lot. And, I'm not like killing anybody. So this is for you guys. And he kills his co-host and then looks at the camera and shoots at a bird and starts going, fuck, 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 as it goes to credits.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Very fun season. First season is fine, but all of it is linked / related to all of the movies.
That's incredible. That's great.
All of the people come back. It's a lot of fun for sure.
I love that he's done what the MCU is trying to do, what people have been trying to do with the Dark Tower series for years. He's done it with Chucky, right? He's made the movies and the television show one continuous storyline. It's just incredible what a creator can do with a character if they get to just be a part of its gestation always and have fun with it and let it go in different directions. I also love the fact that it plays closer to reality and bringing in true life things. That brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is Steven Spielberg's new film, The Fablemans, based not even loosely on, he just changed the last name is all he did, based on his life growing up. Written by Tony Kushner, starring Paul Dano and Michelle Williams. I thought this movie was going to be sort of self-serving when I started watching it, and it is probably the best Spielberg has been well over a decade. This movie is phenomenal. This is a great, touching movie that is critical, cynical, but ultimately brings back this, virtuous idea of we can create these stories and we can find ourselves through them and all that sort of stuff. The movie is about, and I think, this has been publicized fair enough, it's about him finding out his mother's having an affair with his dad's best friend. And that happens maybe within the first hour. And how does he handle it? He finds it through filmmaking. So does he fall out of love with filmmaking? What happens to the family dynamic after that? And how does everyone respond? And it's just a study of growing up in the midst of that. And it's just a wonderful, fun little thing. You have David Lynch cameos as John Ford or Glenn Ford, and that's absolutely phenomenal casting and a wonderful little piece there. Yeah, if you're a Spielberg fan, this feels like classic Spielberg in a way that he hasn't felt in a long time. And I'm a huge fan of just filmmakers who have a specific eye and vision and style of storytelling. And that takes me to another fairy tale that Chad watched. Netflix just released Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I haven't got a chance to see it yet. Chad, what did you think about Pinocchio?
And I'm kind of shocked you haven't seen it yet, Keith, because it seems like it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
It's really like an old school Rankin and Bass is what it looked like, awesome. Stop motion joint, but updated more for today, a little bit more. If you like this kind of stuff, I think it's perfect. For what Guillermo del Toro is trying to do, he succeeds 100%.
Awesome.
So it's the Pinocchio story, a little different at the end, but I'm not necessarily familiar with the, I guess, novel. Fairy tale or whatever, what have you. So it could be more like that, but it's sad and hopeful at the same time, the entire, film. Yeah. But it is extremely well done. Extremely well done. I'd say definitely worth checking out. Yeah. Much better than the I'm sure the Tom Hanks live action one.
Oh, what a but I love this, era of reinvention. And that brings us to another Netflix project that was about reinvention. I've seen the first episode. Chad's seen the first 4. I think Rob's seen the first 3. And that
I'm on episode 5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is Tim Burton's Wednesday, starring Jenna Ortega. Since I haven't seen as much as you guys, let me go ahead and give my 2 cents about it. Fucking great. I'm still on the first episode, but what a wonderful experience it is. Jenna Ortega should play everything in the world. She should play me, a dinosaur, whatever the fuck she wants to do. She's incredible. And I love Luis Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Having Christina Ricci show up is great. Thing has never looked so good. I love the fact that in this first episode, we don't see the Addams house. We're taking out away from that. We're throwing Wednesday in something new. And it seems like there's going to be mysteries for her to solve. It's just great. It's Saturday morning cartoons come to life, and I absolutely adore it. I love her deadpan delivery. I love the grim jokes are fantastic. Chad, you're farther on in the series and in life, sorry, than I am.
It's because he's younger. That makes no sense. Keep going.
How do you feel about Wednesday so far?
I think this show's excellent. I am not traditionally the biggest Tim Burton fan. He's fine. He's a little out there. He's a little kooky, but this is hitting all the right notes for me.
He's a little kooky. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
He's a little creepy and he's kooky.
Kooky. Nice.
That sounds a lot better than you're really stretching your segues tonight, Keith. Like really stretching those. Like it's out there what you're doing. But yeah, like I said, Jenna Ortega, perfect. She's like modern day screen queen. Like I love her in everything. Like you said, put her in everything. She's great. And it's just like you said, the dialogue that she does is so clever and biting, but she's also, her delivery nails it every single time. Yeah. It's really good. And then on top of it, you alluded to it, there's a mystery that, making you want to come back to see what's going to happen next. I can't wait to finish this. The only reason I haven't is because I've been watching it with my daughter. So it's just whenever we have time. Otherwise, I would have probably binge watched this and knocked it out very quickly. Yeah. So I can't wait to finish it, but I can't wait for season 2 because there's got to be a season 2 based on the numbers that you're hearing about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rob, what about you? What are you thinking about Wednesday?
Yeah, I haven't finished it either. I've been waiting. I've been watching it with my daughter and I can't.
It sounded gross when he said it for some reason, but go ahead.
That's bizarre. I never know where she's coming back. Hey, it's really good. I expected Sabrina, which was fine. I thought Sabrina was good. It was actually good. It was actually like, this is really good. I watched the first couple of seasons of that. So I was expecting that. And it's just such a larger epic, much more well-made show. Not that Sabrina was bad. It's just, again, in the hands of somebody who, when they are on their game, is really good. And this, again, like Chad said, hit all the right notes. I just felt like he was firing on all cylinders, just storytelling together. And I didn't feel like every now and then when you're watching Burton, it feels like it's all about Burton and style over substance, where I think everything just meshed. I didn't feel like, I knew Burton had made it, but I wasn't over when I was watching it going, Burton. It was so well balanced that it was the family and Jenna Ortega. And I had no idea what the story structure was going to be. I didn't know if they were just going to be back in the house and the whole family, yada, yada, yada. Just well done and well supported. Just the right amount of Catherine Zeta-Jones and I forgot his name.
Luis Guzman.
Thank you. I love him. Just the right amount. And when I heard about his casting, I was like, and then like 2 seconds and I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. Because he's that good. But you're right, Chad. Jenna Ortega is phenomenal. And you mentioned her name quite a bit in the past. I guess I did see her in the babysitter thing in the past. Nothing really jumped out at me about that. But if she is a modern day scream queen because she's done that much horror, she's about to break the hell out of that because she's going to get whatever the hell she wants. Yeah, she's tremendous. And again, just great moments, great relationships. Chad and I were talking about this the other day, and he hit it on the nose. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he said it's basically Wednesday goes to Hogwarts. Yeah. You got the different, and it's, again, and look, if it works, fucking do it. They're not the only show that sort of played into that. It's a structure that is appealing, and when it's done well, it's great. You get to touch a bunch of different tropes and different types of characters and play into different, genres that appeal to different people. And her bouncing between all of them is great. It's fun to watch her almost universe hop between all these different types of creatures. She's so good going toe to toe with the guy playing the sheriff, who's a good actor. I don't know his name. He works a shit ton. I can't wait. I know they haven't greenlit season 2 yet, but rumors are that's just they're in negotiations because everybody's going to get an ass load of money.
Yeah,
and it's real good.
I agree completely that she is such a good vehicle for the entire story as I've seen it so far. She does a great job of being comical in such a subdued way that it allows her to still be the straight man against everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting thing because it's, it seems to be this pattern with directors as they get a little bit older that they tend to go back towards things that were a part of their childhood, whether it's Spielberg literally making his childhood or now seeking to make a sequel to Bullet, or Burton. He's doing he did Dark Shadows. Now he's doing Addams Family. You're seeing what his inspirations are. And it's also Ants versus A Bug's Life, with The Munsters also coming out this year and this coming out this year. One was clearly superior in its execution of what it was trying to accomplish. But
I just want to say, but I'm going to jump in. It structurally too, in an odd way, and why it's so different, I think, than a lot of stories. I think structurally, it's a fish out of water storyline, but because she's not really that far out of water, she's out in the quote unquote real world, but the real world is so fucking bizarre that she's launched into. It's her being the weird character in a world full of differently weird characters. So she gets to play her. She's funny, but then she also gets to react to what's also kind of fucked up. And I think that's an interesting structure.
Oh, so what you're saying is that she's a funny straight man, kind of like what I just fucking said.
I said it way better because I brought in structure as the fish out of water type thing. I gave credence and depth and why your opinion worked. Plus, I was staring at Stock, and he's so cute.
It's kind of similar to like Harry Potter, I think, with that structure.
So you're saying like if she went to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter is like he's brand new to this world. Where Wednesday knows about this world, but it's still kind of like a fish out of water. It's my opinion anyway.
You can't mock me, Chad. I gave you credit for the opinion a minute ago when I said Hogwarts. It doesn't make any type sense.
Either way,
50% of the show is me mocking you, Rob.
Absolutely. So, that's what the show should be called.
50% of the time, he mocks me 100% of the time.
Point is, Wednesday goes into a new world for her, a weird world. Some would even say a strange world. And that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is Disney's newest release, Strange World. So an animated feature starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid.
Is it a sequel to The Day After Tomorrow?
I mean, they do play father and son.
Oh my God, does he call him son the whole time? Which wasn't nearly as annoying 20 years ago. The whole fucking time I had to listen to son. Come here, son. Let me talk to you, son. Chad heard me bitch about this for a decade, by the way.
I was about to say, I remember this night at work. Oh my God. Memories are flooding back of you just ranting about that at work.
I think
kept saying, son.
Son.
Come here, son. Find you, son.
Maybe you hate Dennis Quaid. I love it, great.
Is this the first time someone's ranted about The Day After Tomorrow on the internet? Because I don't even think it was around when that movie came out. But this movie, Dennis Quaid plays the father. Jake Gyllenhaal is his son.
Come here, son.
And in this world, they're in this place called Avalonia. Dennis Quaid is an explorer who gets lost. His son becomes basically
stop saying that word.
Now you're doing it, Keith.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Becomes an environmental genius, sort of. He finds this plant that saves their entire civilization. And then years later, that plant is dying. So they go to look for the source of it. And in the interim adventure, they find the dad. It is like 1950 sci-fi. Like one of those wild adventures, journey to the center of the earth sort of feeling, with a shit ton of H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King references hidden in it, which is weird. But it's super enjoyable. Disney always talks about how, well, we have a gay character here and it's whatever. They legitimately have one of the main characters is homosexual, and it's a cute, adorable love story that this character goes through. There's a 3-legged dog named Legend, and it's awesome. This was just a really delightful movie. It didn't make me cry. It wasn't Lion King, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And I think, Disney has maybe some people hit or miss, but they can create these masterpieces or something that's just entertaining. And this one, I think, falls into the latter category. And I wonder what Chad's going to say about this next one, because we both watched Disenchanted, another Disney project starring Amy Adams and Maya Rudolph. Chad, what did you think about Disenchanted, the sequel, of course, to the widely popular Enchanted film?
And I really like the first Enchanted film.
Yeah,
a lot. This one I thought was good. Pun intended. This did not capture the magic, of the first one, but it wasn't bad.
No,
it just, I couldn't lay my finger on, like, it just wasn't like as good.
Mm-hmm.
And the music, first of all, the songs were not as catchy to me as the first one. But I don't know why. I can't put my finger on why I didn't think it was as good, because I really like the premise. I like the idea of a fairy tale world where, Giselle, the main character, is the evil stepmother now.
Yeah.
Because of a wish. And for all intents and purposes, she is the stepmother of the child after the first movie. So it's a clever idea. It's a great thought to make her the evil stepmother. So I don't know, like, why I didn't like it as much, but it was fine. Again, the songs, weren't as much. I felt like, though, they must have had James Marsden for just like one day. Yeah. It was like they had him at the beginning and the end, and then the rest of the time he's just a cartoon.
Yeah.
So.
He's doing that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 shoot now. That's
exactly.
Why. I agree with you. I love the song where it's Maya Rudolph versus Amy Adams. I thought that song was awesome. Both of their performances were absolutely great. For me, the thing that didn't make it sell was, the first story is structure-wise a fish out of water. Fucker. And then this one
thank you
takes this one doesn't really have that. It takes her back to her status quo. Now everything is a fairy tale world, and the only thing off is that she's now the bad guy. And I feel that's not as much of a departure from Andalasia as you know what I mean? Like, the first one is, oh my God, I have to adjust to this completely new thing. The second one, there's not much adjustment. Everybody just slides into the fairy tale world kind of easily. But Amy Adams does a great job, almost like Smeagol versus Gollum style, 100%. Going back and forth between these two characters. Is that super fun to watch? She's just an amazing performer. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Then I watched another Maya Rudolph film just before we got on here. Netflix just dropped a Murderville murder mystery, Who Killed Santa? Now, if you're familiar with it, Murderville was a series that we reviewed on the show. It's basically an improv show where Will Arnett plays a detective. I think his name is Terry Seattle. And every week he brings in a new guest. Everyone has a script except for the guest, and it's a celebrity, and they're trying to solve the mystery. This one, it's a 52-minute Christmas special, and it starts with Jason Bateman coming on board as his.
No, so let's say this. Are you going to spoil it? Because I'm going to watch it as soon as this is over.
I will tell you, no. Jason Bateman comes in, Maya Rudolph comes in, and then a third person comes in, but I won't tell you about that.
Okay.
It has some nice little celebrity cameos scattered throughout. And one of the ladies from Future Man is in it. And so
awesome.
That is awesome.
I love that show.
Her. Yeah, me too. And it's just hilarious. It's just so fun. Plus, knowing that Will Arnett and Jason Bateman have this rich history together from Arrested Development, and seeing them just sort of like poke at each other and make each other do stupid things, it was so fucking enjoyable to watch. I had a blast. And Murderville, I think, is one of my favorite television series. But speaking of television series that will go down as some of our favorites, I guess let's talk about fucking Blandor.
Before we go, I saw Ticket to Paradise.
Okay. I mean, there were you could have talked about this after that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going from movies to TV. I felt a change in venue as we were doing that.
We've been jumping around. We did Wednesday.
Oh, that's a good
Strange
point.
World.
Never mind, Keith, continue. I'll go back to sleep.
So we're not tearing that ticket to paradise just yet. Instead, we're going to talk about
Get ready.
You respect Clooney and Roberts. What you do.
The old people segment of the show.
That's
Rob's
right.
going to talk about
The
Ticket to
old school
Paradise.
movie stars.
presented by AARP. No, but we're going to talk about, speaking of old age, let's talk about this movie, the show that dragged on forever, Andor. The finale has come out, and we've all seen all of the episodes. Chad, what did you think about the finale of Andor? Do you feel like it landed at home? Do you feel like it's in a good place? What did you think?
So, for the most part, I'm going to let you guys talk about it because, honestly, I've watched it. I can't remember anything of the finale except for Aunt Petunia's speech and the Death Star stinger, which big deal. This show was so utterly forgettable that I couldn't tell you what happened after he got out of prison. The 3 prison episodes, that was really good, and I enjoyed his prison episode moments. Nothing else. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know where he is at the end of this show, nor do I even care. So you guys talk it out.
Damn. Okay,
My
Rob.
my favorite comment was big deal, like he was back in like 3rd grade. Chad, just do big deal. You know,
Yeah,
I got
big
these
deal.
baseball cards. Big deal.
Yeah, big deal. He was working on the Death Star. Ooh, oh my god!
I got more gum than you. Big deal. Big deal. That was great. The name of the show should be Big Deal. This is all a big deal. I think history will reflect very favorably upon this show. I think history will show that this is the series that brought the fandom together. It will change the spelling of Star Wars fandom from FANDUMB to FANDOM. Again, because I think right now the ratings are low because the past few years, the reboots, the awful reboots, and the possibly the worst television series to ever been screened.
Andor?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm sorry. And which I mean, arguably awfully written, pathetically directed, certainly horribly reviewed. I think it just scared away all the intelligentsia that was part of the Star Wars fandom and left just the lunatic fringe of lightsaber fanatics, present company excluded. And I think ultimately when the word spreads how good this show actually was, that the fandom, the other half of the fandom that wasn't scared away by the crap that was put out over the past decade, will come eking back. And this show will attract these people to the upcoming Star Wars stuff. That's how good this show was.
And that's how democracy dies, with a bullshit speech.
This show is the Trump, goddamn it, of Star Wars. By God, it is the Fox News of Star Wars.
I mean, I felt like I was watching Andor just then because
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep listening to Rob's speech about it.
And I will get nothing but praise on the Twitterverse from these comments. I love the show. I fucking loved it from beginning to end. And it was edgy and dark and well written and beautifully shot and beautifully acted. Did I hear one of them got a Golden Globe nomination? Oh, I think I did. How many from Obi-Wan Kenobi got those? Oh, none. Yeah. So there. Big deal. I think that's a pretty big deal. I love the fucking show. I can't wait for season 9 already, and I didn't get to season 2 yet. It's awesome. Everybody in it's great. I want to transcribe the monologues from Stellan Skarsgård and from Andy Serkis, just so young actors up and coming can see the genius that was brought forth by this. Keith, how'd you feel about it?
Yeah, it was all right. Anyway, moving on.
I want to watch Murderville.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it was fine. I mean, I think as a whole show, It was great. I mean, it was good, and it's great.
Whoa. Was it great? Was it good?
It was good. It was good, but it's great that different people with different tastes can have their own version of Star Wars. You know what I mean? I feel like that Death Star stinger was like at the end of The Dark Knight. Batman finds out his parents are dead. Like, yeah, we fucking knew that at the beginning. Like,
it was a little obvious. Yeah, without to me, that was it was the most as far as
and the other thing that pissed me off about this, because now I just remembered what the show actually was that it took us, how many episodes were there? 12, 11,
113, I think.
It took us 113 episodes to get back to the same place we were at the end of episode 3. The same fucking thing happened. And I get, but they've changed on the inside. Fuck off. Like, it's the same, we're at the same place. And it's whatever. It is what it is. Whatever.
It's a big deal.
It just it drained the life out of me. But speaking of draining the life out of me, let's talk about another film that I watched on Shudder called Blood Relatives. Now, this is an independent film, and it's about a Jewish vampire.
Oi.
Yeah. Oh, that's you say that all throughout the thing. This Jewish vampire who realizes he has a child and has to step up as a parent and nurse them through being a vampire in, their young age. And it's it's an indie comedy horror movie, and it's great. It's got some really clever jokes in it. He's speaking to somebody at one point, the comedian that did Super Jaime plays this mechanic or something like that. And so he's talking to him, and he, starts cursing in Yiddish, and the guy's like, what did you just say? What language is that? And he's like, Yiddish. And the guy's like, Yid-ish. And then that exchange I thought was like so fucking clever, like jokes like that throughout the entire movie. But it's a fun little watch. It's a nice little thing to sink your teeth into if you like vampire movies.
Waka.
Yeah. It's a nice little watch. Now, going to the next one, another little watch, something I haven't seen yet. I don't know if I've seen the basis of this show in its entirety, but that is Willow on Disney Plus. Chad has watched 3 of the episodes, the first 3 episodes. At least I hope the first 3. Yep. It'd be weird if you watched 5, 6, and 1. But Chad, what are you thinking about the show Willow?
I'm digging the show. It's fun. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, but not as dark. Yeah. And it's like Lord of the Rings, but not as serious. But it's still like end of the world stuff. Like if we don't, stop this from happening, the evil crone's going to take over and destroy the world. That's still happening. But I feel like the group is having more fun with it. Therefore, I'm having more fun with it. Okay. It's dire and they can die, but it's not all doom and gloom. Willow, he talks doom and gloom, but the rest of the, and it's, some of these actors in the thing are from comedic backgrounds and stuff too. Like Tony Revolori is in it. And he's not doing like his shtick from Spiderman, but he has some funny lines and stuff. He's like inept, but he's still a part of their quest. And when they say he's going to go on the quest with them, yeah, exactly. It's stuff like when they say, he's going on the quest with them, like the lead actress is like, no, we're good fellowship wise. We don't really need, that's kind of like those kind of jokes. And then at one point, when Revolori finds out that they might die on this, he's like, you mean we might die? Nobody told me that. I'm scared to death of dying. So it's like, kind of jokes like that.
That's great.
So, some people may not like it because it might be too light at some points, but it's not like that show Gallivant on ABC or whatever it was a long time ago. Yeah. It's not ridiculous, so it's a lot of fun. People that were in Willow, the original Willow, are in this. So it works for me. It's not a binge situation. It's Disney. So it's, kind of like Andor. So the 4th episode just dropped. So, but I'm on episode 3. It's good.
That's awesome.
I love the movie. I mean, I was a big fan of the movie, for years. So it's been a long time since I've seen it, but the trailers for some reason pushed me away, but you gave me a talking to the other day about it, and I'm a little more inclined to watch.
Val Kilmer's Mad Morgan in the original, and I don't know what they're going to do in this. They mention him that he's like not around, but it's not like he's dead. They just don't know where he is.
Mhm.
And looking at the cast list, I think maybe his son is doing a voice, so it might kind of be like
Gotcha.
some
Yeah.
type of situation.
And
where-
his son does his voice in Top Gun. His
Right,
son voiced him all through the documentary as well. Yeah.
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 So
Interesting.
there's going to be some Mad Mardigan as well. But
Cool.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's cool.
And Chad said that show was about end time potential and stuff like that, and that brings me to a film that I want to discuss, a film I just watched called Armageddon Time.
Oh.
This film is by the same director who did Ad Astra, starring Anthony Hopkins and Anne Hathaway, with Jessica Chastain doing a cameo appearance as Donald Trump's sister. It's set in the 1980s, and it tells the story of a young Jewish boy and realizing he's not the smartest kid around, his school being transferred from a public school to a private school, making friends with a young African-American youth in the midst of a time that wasn't as accepting of those interracial friendships and hijinks that you get into as a kid. I watched this right after I watched The Fablemans, and it was an interesting pairing to see two examples of a young Jewish experience separated by 30 years, where Spielberg's Fablemans is very optimistic and hopeful at the end of it. Armageddon Time is a little bit more dirty. It's a little bit more cynical. It's a little bit more warts and all.
Mhm.
And it's, with a name like that, you expect the story to be sort of grandiose, but it's a very intimate look at a school year. And because of that, I appreciated it. It was a very small scale movie with big implications in what this child's life would be. I would compare it to like reading To Kill a Mockingbird in a way. Ultimately, To Kill a Mockingbird talks about all this stuff, but it's just about Scout's journey, right? And the same thing is true here in this. And, so if you're into that type of filmmaking, this is one I highly recommend.
I just watched the trailer. I just watched the trailer today after I started on your list because it kind of slipped through the cracks, and it's looks pretty powerful. Yeah.
Hopkins is incredible. Hathaway is phenomenal. Whoever plays the kid's dad, heart
It's Jeremy Pope. That's Jeremy Pope, isn't it?
Yeah,
From
I think
Succession.
so.
From Succession.
Yeah. Heart wrenching performance. A very heavy but great movie.
Yeah.
And speaking of a great movie, I watched a real pearl of a horror film, and that is Pearl, which I know Chad had watched before, so we can discuss. You haven't watched Pearl yet?
I watched X, but not Pearl.
Oh, well, okay. So Pearl is the prequel to X, so I will try not to spoil too much for you. Mia Goth returns playing the character of Pearl, and it's set after right at the end of World War One. During the Spanish flu epidemic, and you find out why Pearl is the way she is, and some crazy moments in the movie. I don't know if I like it better than I like X, but Ty West does a great job of making it feel like a 20s and a 30s film at times. There are musical numbers, there's dance routines, and all this stuff that happens. And it's great. Also, it sounds like somebody's eating a table. Does anybody hear that, or is it just me? You might hear like a.
I don't hear
I
anything.
heard that. Is it Rob's belly?
It sounds like Rob's belly.
Stosh might be snoring, but I'm not. You hear that?
Oh, I think that's what it is then. I was like, what the fuck is that noise?
That might be Stosh. That might be Stosh snoring. I'm kidding.
So anyway, so Pearl, if you get a chance to see it, it's especially if you liked X, it's a interesting horror movie. There's also some great moments from Mia Goth. She has this really emotional monologue, and the camera refuses to cut away from her. So it's just this one, maybe 4.5 minute shot on her face as she's going through all these emotions. It's absolutely incredible. And that dog snoring is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
He's going to town right now. He's going to town big time, man.
I wonder if that's going to be picked up on the podcast when you listen.
I hope so.
It definitely is. I can tell you that.
I hope so.
I've got one more, and then we'll go back to Rob because he's
dying. You can tell he's dying to talk about Ticket to Paradise.
The entire reason he wanted to do this podcast. He already got greenlit. He's like, guys, we got to make a podcast for this.
He never texts what he watches. but he did Ticket to Paradise in all caps.
All caps with an exclamation point. So that's why I've been like putting it up. Even interrupted another segment. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, now we're gonna talk about Ticket to Paradise. Rob, we're gonna. So the last thing I want to talk about is a show I watched. I started watching the show earlier in the year, and it took me about a fucking year to finish it. And that's Resident Evil, which is only 8 episodes. Oh my God, what a piece of fucking garbage that is. And it's not that the show is bad. I mean, it is bad, but it has all of the things that I would like about it.
Yeah.
There's a giant fucking crocodile in the show. But the thing is, they only introduced the giant crocodile at the beginning of the 8th episode and then wipe it out by the end of the 8th episode when it's supposed to be our big reveal. Like, no, it's fucking shitty, lazy writing. And the show is one of those that bounces back and forth while somebody's in a bag to tank sort of shows. And it just doesn't, I feel if you didn't structure it that way, and it's all about the structure of the fish out of water and all that.
Big time. It's a big deal, the structure. It's a big deal.
Yeah. A big deal, huge. We don't like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Don't like him. No, but if you would have structured the show a little bit differently, I think it could have worked and it could have been entertaining. I think you just call it Resident Evil Jade or something like that. But I think because it's structured the way it is, because it doesn't connect to the Resident Evil mythos in the way that fans wanted, it's just trash. It's just garbage fire.
I watched the first episode. It was all right. I came back with the second episode. Couldn't get through it. It was terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of garbage fires, Rob Prago went and saw a movie, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to look at his Ticket to Paradise. So, Rob, do you want to tell us about Ticket to Paradise that you saw?
Oh, I didn't go see a movie. It came to Peacock, my friends.
Oh,
that's right. And I watched it streaming on Peacock. And I got to tell you, I'm a fan of the rom-com genre. Whether it's a screwball rom-com or just a nice heartfelt rom-com or a balance there between of. And I think it's a lost art. I don't think we've had a really good rom-com in a while, at least not that I've seen or that I remember. I'm old. There could have been one last week. I don't remember it though. And what I do like, what I think we're lacking this day and age is a plethora of movie stars. And if we can go back in time and get a good rom-com where I can laugh and smile and be taken on a journey to beautiful locations where two just goddamn beautiful movie stars are enjoying themselves for about an hour and 50 minutes, well, I'm there for it. And Ticket to Paradise is such a flick, my friends. They paired up with Caitlin Dever playing their daughter. Oh, by the way, Julie Roberts and George Clooney, and she's amazing. Anybody from this generation, recently, Chad knows she's awesome. Caitlin Dever's phenomenal. Just a fun movie watching two great people going toe to toe. Normally when they play, but it was a blast. If you can catch Ticket to Paradise, and you are a fan of the rom-com genre, it is fantastic. Go enjoy. Thank you very much.
It sounded like a fireside chat.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah.
You should have a podcast called Fireside Chat.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that'll be the spinoff to this.
Yep.
When you guys inevitably quit on me.
Well, before we quit, I forgot there were two other
I'll
movies.
die of old age, but
Any second now.
Yes,
but I did forget there were two other films that I saw. I'll run through them real quick. Weird, the Weird Al biopic on the Roku channel starring Daniel Radcliffe is fucking phenomenal. I recommend everybody go see that. It's just hilarious and insane. And then the second one I saw was Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I'm dying to see that. I want to see that so bad.
But no, I think it's better than the first one. Great cast: Janelle Monáe, Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson, Edward Norton. Who else is in it? Catherine Hahn. Just fucking phenomenal from beginning to end. But that's the end of the movies we saw. But we did watch a couple of trailers.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
So let's go ahead and start talking about some of the trailers that we saw. So the first trailer that we saw is from director Scott Beck and Brian Woods, starring Adam Driver, Ariana Greenblatt, and Chloe Coleman. The film is called 65. An astronaut crash lands on a mysterious planet only to discover he's not alone. Chad, what did you think about 65?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. When I was watching at the beginning, and we're seeing some of the backstory, and then we crash on the planet. I think, like, why did we see all that backstory? It's a trailer. Just have him crashing on the planet. But it made more sense when you figure out what they're building up to.
Yeah.
The reveal of it being Earth 65 million years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool reveal. It's not necessarily the first time, that this ground has been covered. But it was interesting, and it's got Adam Driver in it. Super cool.
Yeah.
Odds are by the end of the movie, he is the reason for the extinction of dinosaurs, would be my guess.
Yeah. Rob, what did you think?
It was a pleasant surprise. I hadn't heard anything about this movie; just sort of came out of nowhere. I expect Sony to fuck it up, but I love the premise. What excites me, like Chad said, which it's not that it's breaking all new ground, but the fact that Adam Driver, who I think generally speaking has a good eye for scripts and a good eye for projects, gives me hope that this might be a step above what maybe we commonly see coming out of Sony, or just the genre inherently, just the sci-fi genre. It sort of had a reminiscent when you know what is going to happen. It sort of has a Planet of the Apes reveal type feel to it, in the sense that, oh my God, it's the same place, but in the future, but in the past. But yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like a lot of fun, and hopefully the effects are good, and hopefully there's a couple of twists and turns that you don't know. Is it a different planet that just has the same type of makeup as Earth, or again, will it be? Because they kind of tell you in the trailer that it's almost like they want you to believe it's actually Earth 65 million years ago, or is it just another planet that is at the same point that Earth was in its development 65 million years ago? I don't know, but again, Adam Driver is so fucking good that I'm sure he will hold my attention the whole time. So yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm gonna, and one of the reasons he's so good is because he went to Juilliard. Just saying, it's a really good school. But also we get to see some of his Marine training in action here. Making those actions very believable. I think ultimately the story is going to be he's not from Earth. He's from a different planet and so it's not a time travel thing.
Ooh,
it's just
nice.
All of it takes place 65 million years ago.
Nice.
Very Twilight Zone feeling, but I think it looks great. So whatever story they want to spin, I'm here for, which takes us to our next trailer of something that we saw, which is directed by Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson, starring Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Oscar Isaac, Jake Johnson, Issa Rae, Brian Tyree Henry, Luna Lauren Velez, Rachel Dratch, Daniel Kaluuya, Jason Schwartzman, Horma Takone, and Shea Wiggum. This, of course, is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
A zombie invasion.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Miles Morales
Okay.
returns for the next chapter of the Oscar-winning Spider-Verse saga, an epic adventure that will transport Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man across the multiverse to join forces with Gwen Stacy and a new team of Spider People to face off with a villain more powerful than anything they've ever encountered. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1?
I mean, it looked cool. It looked like Spider-Verse. We're going to watch it. I mean, it looks good. It was cool seeing Spider-Man 2099 trying to fight Miles. That was neat.
Absolutely.
And then there's a ton, obviously across the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, we just got maybe like 5 or 6 alternate Spider-Men.
Yeah.
This seems like they're just anteing up. It's like, we're going to see a shitload of Spider-Mans across the multiverse, what have you. So yeah, I'm here for it. I just feel like the trailer didn't give us a whole lot, so there's not a whole lot to say about it other than it looks like it's that same world. The first movie was really a pleasant surprise in the fact that I wasn't expecting much, and it was great. Yeah. So now I'm expecting a lot, so I hope it is great.
Yeah. Rob, what about you?
I'm looking forward to the movie. The trailer, it was very slow at the beginning of the trailer with him and the mom, but it took a real while to launch into it, and then it just moves so quickly. And not having as great a grasp on the Spider-Man rogues gallery and lore and all the history, it kind of flew by me a little quick. So I'm looking forward to the movie. the trailer just kind of whatever, but I'm there. I mean, it's not. I don't think the trailer is going to dissuade anybody who's interested in the movie, from watching it. But yeah, I'll be there.
But the trailer started slow, according to the guy who likes Andor. Okay, that's very interesting.
Andor was shot out of a cannon compared to this trailer. Cannon.
I'm excited for this. I love the character of Jessica Drew. So to see this iteration of her, I'm super excited about that. Bombastic Bagman was in the trailer. That's awesome. PlayStation 1 Spider-Man, PlayStation 4 Spider-Man. There are so many different iterations that we could potentially see that it could go on forever. And that brings us to our next trailer.
I was going to ask a quick question. Did they maybe I missed it because I didn't watch any of the breakdowns of it, but did they tease Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and or what's his name, Spider-Man, or no? I think that'll be, if not, I think they'll reveal that in the movie.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man is seen in it. The MCU Spider-Man swinging in one of the things. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So I did have that really good segue, but then
that was like your best segue of the night too.
I know. And then Rob,
you got to be prepared to go with the flow.
Good thing going with the flow. A lot of things flow, mostly pools. Anyway, here, let's talk about this next trailer. Written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, the son of the Canadian legend himself, starring Mia Goth, also the star of Pearl, Alexander Skarsgård, Cleopatra Coleman, Thomas Kretschmann, Amanda Brugel, John Ralston, Caroline Bolton, Anita Major, Amar Buckvick, Roderick Hill, and Jeff Ricketts. This is a film entitled Infinity Pool.
What a weird fucking trailer.
Yeah. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of La Tolca when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for this one?
So 25% of it, I thought, oh, this is interesting. And 75% of it, I thought, there's no way I'm watching this movie. It is too weird, too out there. I'm not a fan of body horror in general. I like horror movies, but not body horror. And this is not David Cronenberg, but it's still a Cronenberg.
Yeah.
So, odds are I'm not going to be watching this.
Or as Keith pronounced it, Cronenberg, which was a little weird.
Did I say Cronenberg?
You did. Yeah. Come on.
Check the tape.
Get your shit together.
I mean, I will. I edit it, but yeah, go ahead.
This felt like Cronenberg said, I'd like to make an Eyes Wide Shut movie. And sort of his version, it felt like, again, a fish out of water. No, I'm kidding. It just felt like somebody venturing into a world they never played, they never delved in before. And it just had this very ethereal and dreamlike quality about where they were going through. And then the shit hit the fan, and it felt like Cronenberg playing an Eyes Wide Shut and saying, I got to just fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
But it's a good cast. I mean, it looks, quality wise, it looks like a high quality movie as opposed to just body horror for the sake of body horror.
Yeah.
But it got weird and real weird quick to the point I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Is this a dream? We can have dream sequences here. Or is this? I didn't know. It kind of lost me, but there you go.
Yeah, I think, I do like body horror, and when David Cronenberg is the master of it, and so I guess the apple doesn't fall from the tree that then turns into a human and fucks the apple, or whatever's going to happen in this movie. At the beginning of this movie, it reminded me of a film that Chad and I saw called Speak No Evil. That was sort of the vibe I got at the beginning of it, and then it just took a sharp turn. And I'm going to watch it, definitely. I like Antiviral, which is another Cronenberg Jr.'s movie, and it's a phenomenal one. And I love the cast of this, so I'm here for it. Sometimes just to be terrified is the price that we pay for watching these movies. But that brings us to our next trailer, The Price We Pay. Directed by Ruhel Kutamara, who directed The Midnight Meat Train, written by Christopher Jeffrey, starring Emil Hirsch, Gigi Sambato, Eleanor Burke, Stephen Dorff, Erica Irvin, Jesse Kinzer, Sabina Mock, Tyler Sanders, Tanner Zagarino, and Vernon Wells. The film is about after a pawn shop robbery goes askew, two criminals take refuge at a remote farmhouse to try to let the heat die down, but they find something much more menacing. The Price We Pay. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for The Price We Pay?
Well, I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, because this had some body horror to it as well. It looked gross, but it also looked fun, where
Yeah.
the other one didn't look fun. So this one I might check out because it looked fun. And I do like Emil Hirsch.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see Steven Dorff. I feel like I haven't seen him in a while and something. So it's cool to see him back. It's kind of, it has a vibe to me, a little bit of Barbarian,
Same here.
in that regard. And maybe even a little House of a Thousand Corpses, that kind of stuff. So this one, again, there's some body horror elements, but it looks fun. So I might check this one out.
And Rob, what about you? How did you feel about it?
I thought it was shot beautifully. I mean, just the whole color palette of it, and there was some camera moves, and I didn't see the trailer.
Yeah, I didn't think you did.
I didn't
When
see
you
it.
said shot beautifully, I'm like, oh, I didn't.
I didn't see the trailer. I tried.
Yeah, to me, it looks like a low
tried.
budget.
I can't.
You don't have to drive to anywhere to watch it.
I just tried. I didn't see it. I didn't see it on your list. I overlooked it somehow. I just did not see it. You must have spelt it incorrectly.
Must have. Definitely my fault. You didn't choose to do something. Anyway,
I'm
He
looking
thought
at
you
the
were
list.
just talking about, something, the price you pay. He thought you were mad at him or something.
Maybe it was. Let me see if I can find it on this
I
list.
owe him money for that
Chad,
food I've been eating.
Oh, this was an add-on. Let's add the trailer for the price we pay.
Which that's exactly what that means, though. Let's add.
Oh no! So after 6 o'clock, I'm not taking any orders. I have a deadline. Deadline for my work here. My pristine preparation can't be fucked up by your additions later.
I think the trailer looks like a sort of a low budget cross between From Dusk Till Dawn meets Barbarian. And I'm excited about that. It looks like it's going to be a lot of, like Chad said, gory, insane fun, and I can't wait. And that brings us to our last trailer, one that I didn't watch, and I'm assuming if I didn't watch it, Rob sure fucking didn't watch it. But
I've never heard of it. What is it?
I didn't even know it was out yet.
What is it?
And it pisses me off. Well, it's directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette. It stars Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, Courtney Cox, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, Hayden Panettiere, Devin Dakota, Josh Segarra, who
Is this Scream?
Yeah, who you
I
know
didn't see
from
it.
She-Hulk,
I didn't see the trailer.
Liana Liberato, Tony Revolori, Jack Champion, Samara Weaving, Dermot Maroney, Henry Cherny, Thomas Cadrat, Andre Anthony, Frank Fiola, and Evelyn Morissette. Scream 6. And the storyline is, in the next installment, the survivors of the Ghostface killings leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. I didn't watch the trailer. Chad, you did. How do you feel about it?
It's Scream. I'm going to watch it. But
Yeah, same here.
this is, I don't know if you remember, Keith, the trailer for Jason Takes Manhattan.
Absolutely.
He is just in a subway car. Jason's in a subway car. That shot, that is kind of what you get. The cast from the Scream 5 are in a subway, and there's a bunch of people in there, and it's like Halloween because a lot of people are dressed up.
Yeah.
And they see somebody dressed up like Ghostface, but the Ghostface is just staring at them, not like, hey, I'm just dressed up like Ghostface or whatever. And then, it's just basically a teaser is all it is. It's saying we're in New York, whatever. But what's cool about it, and you can go online and look, is the back, because it's Halloween. In the background, there's a dude dressed up like Jason. There's a dude dressed up like Chucky. There's a dude dressed up like
that's cool.
Samara Weaving from Ready or Not.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of Babadook.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
That's
Easter
great.
eggs.
Yeah, in just that trailer. But it's just like Jason Takes Manhattan, where he's on the subway car and the Ghostface is about to kill somebody.
I didn't see the last Scream. Was Samara Weaving in 5 or no?
No.
This is new.
not.
Okay, new. Okay.
Nope.
Ortega was the lead in the last one. Other than, and this is why I'm conflicted. Obviously, I'm going to watch it, but the love of my life isn't in it. So Nev Campbell is no longer in it. So
I'm wondering if she will be.
yeah, I'm hoping, or are they going to Laurie Strode previous Halloween movies and just kill her at the top? You know what I mean? Or is she the last moment to come and save us? I love because I was watching it sort of while you were describing it. I love the way the 6 comes in on the M. That's super fucking cool. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm gonna see it definitely. I
think it's a mistake. Now, there was she got into a pissing contest with the production company over negotiations, and they basically said you're not worth what you're asking for. I think a lot of people are going to feel the way you feel about it, though. I mean, she's sort of the face of the franchise. I mean, that. I mean, there's a lot of. Don't get me wrong. You listed a litany of very popular actors, but still scream. You know, I just even for me, and I'm not again. I like the first couple of them. I don't. Kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth that if I go watch Scream, I'm not going to see her. So
well, I just feel like that in general, at some point, you're gonna have to move on from her
from
anyway.
Sidney Prescott, yeah.
The bad taste aspect though is the reason or why they're moving.
Yeah, because if it was over money, then they either had an idea and they couldn't come to terms, or they didn't have an idea and they squeezed her out. Right. They didn't know what to do with her. So
yeah, it's kind of like the way. So I'm just still not convinced. I think maybe that might have happened at the beginning and they've worked something out, and she might be in the stinger, or she might be in there, and that's going to be like a reveal. But
hopefully,
but if not, I'm going to be okay with it.
Excuse me, I couldn't hit mute.
So
okay.
No, I wish you were able to hit mute at the beginning of the podcast. I think, like for me, I'm gonna be sad just because I love Nev Campbell. So, but things change, and a lot of franchises are going under severe change right now, which leads us to a new segment. Go ahead.
Before you segment, we got to talk about another trailer you sent, and I didn't want to watch this damn trailer.
The whale.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot about this one. Yeah. So starring Brendan Fraser and Sadie Sink, directed by Darren Aronofsky, an A24 and Protozoa Films release. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for The Whale?
Before we go on here, I've been mispronouncing his name for 30 years, and you just mispronounced his name. I just learned it's Fraser, which is hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard
Brendan
to say, Fraser. Fraser. That's weird.
Brendan Fraser. That's his name. So
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
So that's how I want to pronounce on the podcast.
George of the Jungle, Encino Man himself.
Brendan Fraser.
Rick O'Connor? Rick O'Connell? Rick O'Connell. That's right. And Sadie Sink, who's in Stranger Things, and then of course Darren Aronofsky, master filmmaker. Chad, what'd you think about the trailer for The Whale?
So a few days ago, my daughter was like, "Oh, we've got to watch the trailer for The Whale." And I've heard about The Whale, but I see the thumbnail, and it's a huge Brendan Fraser with, the the thing on his nose so he can breathe the oxygen thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to watch this trailer. I'm not going to watch this trailer because it looks like I'm going to feel things I don't want to feel. It's going to pull at the heartstrings. I'm not watching this trailer, and I refuse to watch it. Then I get your flipping text that we're going to watch The Whale. So I'm like, okay, finally, I guess I'm going to watch this stupid thing. So when it starts, A24, strike one.
Yeah.
Then you're seeing, and it's pulling at your heartstrings, which I didn't want to see. Strike two. Then the coup de grace, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Strike three. So I'm out.
Did you not know it was Aronofsky?
I feel like I forgot maybe like a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was like, forget about it.
I love how eager you were to talk about this, just so you could bitch. Like, this is your new Zack Snyder's Justice League or your ticket to paradise. Is really what it is.
That is hysterical.
Okay, so Chad's dipped out of it. Rob, what about you? Did you make it past the opening credits? Or?
Yeah, I did. I made it to that very painful last moment when he's, just losing it. Yeah, I can't wait to watch this. Again, I think we're all a fan of great acting in here. It's certainly, not quite. I mean, it's not like he came back. He's been working nonstop. We should all, go away for it. He works nonstop. But as far as kind of, as a Fraser sans, it's great to see him back on the big screen, getting some, because he was always enjoyable. He was always great to watch, And again, he did a lot of rom-coms and silly movies and fun stuff and action. Always great. Oh, I just realized my phone is recording everything I'm saying. Why is that? Stop.
So are we, Rob.
Thanks, babe. Good point. Oh, did you guys recording this? I will see this. I don't know if it'll be on the big screen. Maybe it will be. I don't know, but I will watch Brendan Fraser and Sadie Sink, who was getting just. I didn't see her on Keith's show. What's the name of your show, Keith? What show are you on?
Not quite cool. Oh,
That's
Stranger
right.
Things.
Just kidding. I just wanted you to plug yourself. Go plug
She's
yourself,
good on
Keith.
Stranger Things.
Keith, go plug yourself. I heard she was great. Yeah, I didn't see her work on there, but I've heard everybody just really singing her praises. So I can't wait to see this. Again, it's got Aronofsky's look, and there's that bleak, dreary, circling the drain. You know where it's heading. It's just a dark vibe. And he's sort of a light in that, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking forward to it.
Even from the trailer, it looks to be like there's an optimistic aspect to him, right? Where he is a character trying to do the right thing, regardless of his circumstances. And, I love the aspect ratio makes him look bigger, even like just the fact that you play with that. Like, that's great. Like, I think Darren Aronofsky is just, he's never let me down in watching one of his films. So I've seen everything, I think, except for Noah. So, and then the buzz about this is just through the roof. I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, I'm going to cry like a little bitch, but I'm super excited about it. And I'm not afraid to have those feelings, Chad.
I'm terrified of them.
Yeah. So speaking of things that give us feelings that we're terrified of, let's introduce our next segment, which is Rob wanted to talk about this.
What?
So
Ticket to Paradise, Part 2.
Part 2, the sequel, just got greenlit. I don't play Clooney brother. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I can't say.
God.
I can't did it again. Keith, bleep it out. Damn it. I'm old school, man. I'm an old school. He says the word.
It's the whole section
cut out more than the word.
Go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning. Keith, what's the next section?
The next section is Rob's not allowed to talk for a little while, but he wants to talk about this thing. Anyway, so we all know Peter Safran and James Gunn have taken over the DCU, as it has been officially dubbed. Their tenure will not be effective until after next year. Starting 2024, their slate of films will take place. That's after Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which sounds like it's going to be Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. But in the wake of that, some big news has come out. Wonder Woman 3 is no longer happening with Patty Jenkins. Henry Cavill will no longer be playing Superman. Batman Beyond starring Michael Keaton has been canceled. Kingdom Come starring Henry Cavill has been canceled. So a lot of shakeup, even more so at Warner Brothers. At the same time, Warner Brothers is also removing a lot of their hit shows from HBO Max, including Westworld is now no longer available on HBO Max. So this is what we wanted to talk about without saying any words offensive to any minority or any party present on earth.
Where are my Jews at? Who's listening?
Okay, Kanye, I think that Chad.
For the record, Rob is Jewish, so
that's right. Yeah.
It's okay that he said.
Where my peeps?
I think from the way he said "where my peeps," the people could tell. I think Chad. Chad, what's your take on all this news?
So I'm hearing of all the cancellations, and one of the things that you didn't say, because I don't know how official it is, but Momoa might be out as Aquaman and in as Lobo. It's weird. So I'm not happy hearing a lot of this stuff, but I do like James Gunn and I like what he's done. And when I sat back and look at the DCEU, is what have I really liked? Like, what's been great? Wonder Woman, yes, definitely, but the whole direction of the DCEU, I haven't been like a fan of. Mm-hmm. So I understand if what he's trying to do is just like, basically we're rebooting it. We're rebooting everything and we're almost starting from scratch. And that's what we're going to do. So, well, I don't like hearing a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing. I'm also thinking like, well, what's the big deal? Because I'm not like a super duper fan of the DCEU. So let's reboot.
So
it,
what don't you like that you're hearing specifically? Like,
well, I mean, for one, like I was very excited when Cavill was back because I think he's a great Superman.
yes,
But if you're rebooting it and then Cavill's gone, Cavill's gone.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the first Aquaman movie. It made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Now you're cutting that off to have him be Lobo. Lobo's fine, whatever. But I mean, I'm just, and then the fact that there's not going to be a Wonder Woman 3. Yeah. Wonder Woman 2 under-delivered, was not great
awful.
to say the least.
Well,
Wonder Woman 1 was
really good.
I'm disappointed that we're not getting Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton for sure. All that. But I just don't know if it's ultimately. I feel like it might sound worse than it is. At the end of the day, if we get a better product going forward, it might be good. I do feel like, which you hadn't mentioned, we haven't really talked about. It almost sounds like The Rock is done. It just seems like him and Warner Brothers have been going at it as far as the budget versus what Black Adam made. I just feel like they're making an enemy out of The Rock. So he's not going to want to do business with him either. So I don't know, but
he kind of came across like a little bit of a bull in a china shop, really pushing his weight around. And I mean, I don't, we're on the outside looking in, so who knows how that works. But I just think you're right. Henry Cavill was a great fucking Superman. Henry Cavill was the victim of timing, and he found himself a great fucking Superman in the middle of mediocre storytelling. I think Affleck is the victim of the same thing. An excellent Batman. Didn't even get it. He never got. We talked about this earlier. He didn't get a Batman movie. He never got his movie. It was crazy. I think Warner Brothers DC was the absolute Wild West. Was an absolute mess, and I think it also created. I've never seen a studio or a segment of a studio become subservient to a fucking whack job fandom like the Snyderverse people. I want James Gunn to eradicate that terrorist cell that is the Snyderverse fandom and fucking wipe them out of existence. It's ridiculous that they actually did things based upon this small minority of basement dwellers who champion mediocrity. It's fucking ridiculous. Nobody does that. Make a better goddamn product. Mm-hmm. Just stop. Make a product. Now, what? Again, there's things we really liked in it too. In this verse, I love Peacemaker. I think Peacemaker may be a victim of this because you can't pick and choose. I think you gotta. So again, I always forget what it's called when DC does their alternate universe. They do their Elseworld stories. So what do? Do you get rid of what's his name's Batman, or do you let that be Elseworld, or do you make that part of the? Because that doesn't feel like James Gunn's type of storytelling to me, as far as that, or the Joker with Joaquin, which we know they're doing the sequel to. They haven't pulled the plug on that yet. Is that an Elseworld, or do you allow there to be Elseworld stories, and then, boy, and again, how do you release this Aquaman? You talk about dead man walking, lame duck. Why would anybody go see this? What did you compare it to? You compared it to the New Mutants.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, what the fuck do you even do with that thing? It's just, when you preach about making a cohesive universe, and then the universe is over and you got something just kind of spinning out there, it better be the greatest goddamn thing ever, or it's just, who gives a shit? It's going to be interesting. I want to see what they do with the Flash. Maybe he'll use that as an implosion and we're in a new world and yay, but I don't know what he's going to do. He's got a tough job, Gunn. I mean, that's a mess, but I think he needs to rip the Band-Aid off and go and ignore literally get off Twitter, James Gunn, ignore the Snyderverse. He doesn't owe anybody on the fucking planet an excuse. Just start over, scorched earth, and tell good stories, and people will come back. That's what happens. So anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but I think it's, I think the casualties are you have some great castings across the board.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie was amazing as Harley Quinn.
Yeah, 100%.
I think all of the Justice League casting is great. Like Ezra is insane, but was a really good Flash. Like I enjoyed it. I loved John Cena as Peacemaker. I loved Zachary Levi as Shazam. Like all of that is great. Yeah. But if you're going to tell the audience, hey, you can't have this anymore, I do hope that he's smart enough just to wipe everything clean. But it sucks because there's so many great stories that I would like to have, heard or seen some of these filmmakers make within those worlds, because you still got a Shazam Fury of the Gods coming out, right? You still have Blue Beetle, and is that like after that, is that person not Blue Beetle anymore? So all of that sort of stuff. And then in addition to it, I was sort of talking about this with Rob, and Rob just missed it because he's insensitive. But the idea that two castings at least cross the racial line, where Wonder Woman is Israeli, right? So she is Jewish ethnicity and nationality and all that sort of stuff. And then Aquaman, making him a Polynesian man. The next time, do we go back to white, or do we try to follow that, or do we do something completely different? Because that's going to feel like backtracking. You know what I mean? Or how do you approach that when people finally see seen for the first time by these iconic representations of these characters, whether the films were good or not? That's still, do you now tell that audience we don't want to see it that way anymore? I don't know. So I'm interested to see what happens. I think I'm not gonna, but then I'm also interested to see, do we get news about everything until Blue Beetle comes out and it's a success, and then Zaslav fires James Gunn and Peter Safran? Like, is that what happens in the next month or two? Could be. Because I just don't trust anything coming out of Warner Brothers at this point. So,
and I also heard that I think in January, that's when Gunn is going to release his quote roadmap.
Yeah.
So you'll have more information then. But again, how long is that roadmap actually going to be used?
Yeah, Absolutely. It doesn't even have a job, like Keith. It doesn't even have a job by January, because who the hell? Zaslav is there for one reason and one reason only: to cut debt. To cut debt, and to probably to sell it, to make it sellable. Yeah. So I think I think bringing Gunn in and what's his partner's name again?
Safran.
Again, I think that makes it look shiny and pretty because Gunn's a popular filmmaker and he tells popular stories, and so we'll see. Yeah. Again, I think this guy is guided. His North Star is the almighty dollar, and making. If he sells, I heard in his contract, if he successfully sells off DC
in 4 years, he's got.
Yeah, he gets a $250 million
boss.
So, that's what he is living and breathing at this point. So I don't know what he's going to do. It just kind of sucks. Keith and I were talking. Kevin Feige never tweets. He does what he wants. Blah blah blah. And he gets moving forward. Does not acknowledge it. Just keeps. Get the fuck off Twitter. Good Lord.
But stop
time, addressing it. Stop. Why are people explaining their movies? Just fucking make the movies.
But I think
and then show up at a couple conventions.
But I think Gunn is in an interesting predicament because I think there is such ill will towards Zaslav as an individual. He is up there with Trump, with Elon Musk, with all of those. And so I think Gunn has to say, I'm not that guy. I'm not making those decisions. And I know it seems like I'm taking your toys away from you. And half of James Gunn's credibility is that he works and does things the fans like. So he has to defend that position. You know what I mean? And I think he maintains it pretty well.
He's great at it, but he's just talking to a small segment of psychopath Snyderverse maniacs.
Not just Snyderverse, though.
Just them, Keith. Just them.
Yeah. Andor is
only I counted them, and they were all Snyder. It all said Snyderverse lunatic. Everyone.
But I think if I were Feige, if I were Kevin Feige, I would back up a dump truck of money to Henry Cavill right now. I would back up a dump truck of 100%. Money to The Rock right now. I would tell The Rock, hey, you can't call the shots here, but we're going to give you a movie, like one, and then make those deals. Because how amazing is it going to be? Sentry announced starring Henry Cavill, or Henry Cavill shows up as Hyperion, or Captain Britain.
Exactly.
Like, he can play any.
Or all three.
Yeah.
No, I
All of
mean,
them.
Hyperion is the biggest spit in your face.
Yeah.
Because Hyperion is Marvel's Superman. Like that's what he was created as.
Yeah.
Marvel's Superman. So if he showed, like, I would 100% be on the phone with him to seeing if I could get him to be Hyperion. No doubt.
Absolutely. And not that it's a competition, but it is like, if you want to talk about getting asses in seats, that's how you fucking do it. Like, reap from the benefit of DC not knowing what the fuck they're doing. So
And there's been a hint. It never really came up, but just a hint of rumors over the past few years that Gunn and Feige aren't quite as buddy as they let on, and that they sort of existed and sort of tolerated, and that's why this all went that way. So if there is that, maybe Feige goes, huh. Yeah, and calls everybody over.
I heard opposite. I heard that their relationship is good. It's Feige is the James Gunn to the Zaslav. That's what I heard. Because when Gunn was fired, Feige wasn't in charge. It was the other guy. And so the other guy was apparently the dick with all the filmmakers, right? But that's what I heard. I've also heard that everybody hated working with Joss Whedon, and that Rob's dog is not snoring, and those are all noises he's making. I've heard those things. So from a lot of different people. So I don't know. We'll see. I think only time will tell. Our distinct competition, as Stan Lee used to call them, or distinguished competition.
Distinguished.
Yeah. Let's see what happens with them. I'm looking forward to the Marvel movies and the DC movies. Plus, the internet's so full of rumors and bullshit constantly. People talking about, Marvel slowing down their scale of everything they're doing. People, saying that World War Hulk's happening in December or whatever, or the Spectral Vision. All this bullshit that
baby.
I don't know. So I think if it's on the internet, it can't be trusted. And thanks for tuning in.
Look, like you said, time will tell. Time will tell that Andor saved the Star Wars universe. Thank you.
Time will tell that Andor tells a lot of time because it's a long ass fucking show. Anyway,
good try. It was a good effort.
I'm tired.
It was valiant.
I'm tired.
It was valiant.
It's past 10 o'clock.
You did say Henry Gavel too. You're a little slurring tonight. You okay? You said gavel.
Did I say gavel?
At first, then you corrected it, and then you immediately corrected it because you knew you said it. So I gave it to you.
I don't think I.
You did. You went Henry Gavel, and when Gavel played the part.
First of all, I don't think you've ever given anything to me. Secondly,
take.
Well, if I had a freezer full of steaks the way he does, I'd share it with him. That's all I'm saying. I really like his DVD collection.
It is a good DVD collection. Oh, you mean my former DVD collection?
My DVD collection looks great. Keith's DVD collection looks great on my walls.
But from all of the humor and the laughter aside, we do have some sad goodbyes to say. Some sad news, a couple of losses, way too many losses. First, the loss of Stephen Boss, an American dancer known as Twitch, who worked on the Ellen DeGeneres show. DJ Stephen Twitch Boss died at the age of 40 years old. Kirstie Alley, age 71, an icon from Cheers to Look Who's Talking, just so many different things.
Savick, wow.
So many great things. It's tragic loss. Then Angelo Badalamenti, who was born in 1937, an amazing composer, died December 11th, 2022. Perhaps his most famous work is the Twin Peaks theme song, but he worked in film and television, his entire life. One that hit personally, these next two hit personally kind of hard for me. Jason David Frank. I'm a child of the 80s, and I grew up watching Power Rangers. Jason David Frank was the Green Ranger, the White Ranger. He was just an icon of my childhood. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to direct him in a film, our film Nerd Love. He was very gracious to be in that movie, and I got to know him at a couple of different conventions, and he was just a wonderful, lively guy. Especially in front of fans, he was always so bombastic. He was big, he was larger than life. And then in private, he was very soft-spoken, quiet, and reserved, and just a really a good guy to have around. an icon for a lot of nerds and a lot of geeks and a lot of people my age. And then lastly, the Atlanta film scene has lost one of our own. Kristen Goliath was a wardrobe designer and costume maker, born in 1980, died last week from cancer. She leaves behind 4 children.
Oh.
Tragic loss. I worked on her last film, and absolutely amazing person. It's a tragic loss to anyone who knew her. And yeah, so we send our thoughts to all of those people and their families and all that. So
Oy.
yeah,
Awful.
mm-hmm. So but this is probably going to be our last podcast of the year, and probably for like the next 6 months, because we know how Rob's schedule works. He's got too many episodes of Elementary to watch. So Chad,
It got rebooted. No, it didn't. I'm kidding. I was so upset. It was a dream. It was a dream of mine.
Like how you said Star Wars got rebooted, even though it's never been rebooted.
like 3 times.
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Whatever.
Well, no.
Restarted. Whatever.
I
It
said
felt like a
Henry
reboot.
Gavel. Oh no, fuck me. The structure of that fish out
A
of water
reboot.
story. What are you doing?
Pick the right word and put it in for reboot. Thank you.
But Chad, where can the people find you, and where can they find the podcast?
As long as it's still around Twitter, Chad129X, the podcast NQC podcast. And I also want to say, while it may be 6 months before we record again, it should be fairly quick, because maybe the highest grossing movie of all time. We're on the eve of Avatar coming out.
Yeah.
You would think we'd probably record and talk about that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Rob's like
tired
the
now,
last
so I'm
Airbender. What?
I love that cartoon.
Rob, what about you? Where can the people
Wow.
find you?
Nice, Rob.
Only because you told me it was a cartoon, and what's his name? And yeah. Anyway, I'm at Twitter. I'm at the Twitter on at
Okay.
Rob Pralgo.
You're the
I'm
only
on
one at the
Facebook.
Twitter, but that's fine.
I'm on I have an Instagram account with 4 pictures if you want to come check me out at Rob Pralgo. I'm on Facebook at Pralgo's acting class. Come hang out with me.
Yeah.
I have that's it. That's all I got, man.
That's
I
great.
might-
Yeah.
It's my home address. I'm in Alpharetta. If you want to come over and say hi.
Okay. That's not really how addresses work. You can't just
Oh,
list the
shit.
city, but that's fine.
Come get me. My phone number is Klondike 5024. Give me a call.
Let you know how old Rob is. That's great.
Just ask the operator. She'll connect you to her. All right.
And
I didn't even get what Rob was saying. I really didn't until you said ask the operator. I was like, oh, that's really old.
really, really old.
You watch the Andy Griffith show. You'll understand. You watch the Andy Griffith show.
That's
Anyway.
anyway.
Okay.
So if you're looking for me and you want to find me, don't. And thanks everybody. Talk to you later.
Peace.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions.